I want to talk about the parts of your story and your journey so far that don't make it into most conversations. What's the part of your story that you don't really talk about that much, but is there?
I refuse to let the displacement or being a refugee define me for who I am. Instead, I use my lived experience, as a unique strength. I take pride in saying that, the things that have happened to me they did not break me. Instead, that they made me stronger. So I write my own book and I use the
Welcome to the Newcomers podcast, everyone, where I explore what it means to be an immigrant with people like myself, immigrants, and those who work in the immigration sector. Today, I have with me Ajlin Mehmedi, who moved from former Yugoslavia 20 plus years ago at a very interesting time in her life, which is she was in her early 20s trying to figure out her life. And then the war started and she had to move down to Canada. But I'll let her tell her story herself. I don't think I have the right to her story. So welcome, Ajlin.
Thank you, Dozy. Thank you so much for the great introduction, for making me feel so comfortable. And thank you for trying to play with the numbers. That's great. Not revealing the exact. I like that. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I've been here.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. I actually want to start off with, at the age at which you moved, that's like, I was reading something somewhere where someone talked about how and it's an offshoot of this, but it was someone talked about ages and saying in our 20s, we are very young and very, you know, I forget the second word, but he said we're also, is at that age where we are mostly very insecure and full of self doubt because you're trying to find ourselves. And as you get to your 30s and 40s, you start to find yourself. But then in your early 20s, then you're forced to leave your country. You're not sure of who you are. And then you go to a new country to start your life. Like that for me is such a interesting break. Like, because it feels like, maybe I should just say, like, how did it feel at that point in time?
Yeah. Well, I'll go back to what you said, very young and trying to find a word. It just came to me from my elders that I've been hearing, young and green, meaning inexperienced, right? So that's how I can, really say for myself, I was young and green. However, in every part of your life, you're learning so many things that you think, oh, I'm mature enough. I know how to handle this. I see that in my 12-year-old daughter as well. When I talk with her on daily basis, she's like, Mom, I know. So that's how I felt. However, little did I know that there is so much more to learn. And the experience that I had, I don't wish for anybody, but I know people's stories are different and everybody's stories is the most powerful for them. I have to say that I was lucky to leave the country with my whole family. That was my biggest support. So I came with my parents, with my two older brothers who were married, and they had their family already. Each one have two children who are adults now. So for me, I had a strong sense of support in terms of family, and we were always together. Um, it wasn't easy because displacement is something that happens to people, but it's not something that really defines them. It's really hard because um, the power of being able to demonstrate or stay who you are in any environment, it's not easy. My legal status or the circumstances that I am in are not defining who I am, whether I'm young or I'm experienced. And the reason I'm saying this is we came because of the war in our country. So it was the circumstances that we were in that we were forced to leave. Otherwise, that wasn't the choice. However, my parents made the choice to protect us, to save us, my brothers as well, to protect the whole family, their young children and stuff. Definitely, they left huge careers behind. My parents, both of them were doctors, and yeah, traveled a lot, had lots of successes. Both my brothers were, already graduated from. One is economist, another is in tourism and hotelery. So they had really promising jobs, and I was a graduate student of technology engineering, and I was envisioning my career. What am I going to do with it? I had friends. It was, yeah. So one thing that makes me happy is after many years, when I settled here, I went back and I actually got my degree. So I got the master's degree in engineering, and that kind of fulfilled my parents' wish, first of all, because they wanted me to complete. We always say, you know what, get a diploma, whatever you want to study, and then you choose whatever you want to do in life, because you never know when that will come handy. um, One thing that is kind of sad is that I didn't get a chance to practice in the field, because when we arrived 26 years ago, I had to focus on different things in settlement. I was lucky that I had good skills of English language. I worked with United Nations for almost a year back in my country, before coming, and that kind of opened new avenues for me. I got a chance to work with diverse population, learn more about different cultures, diversity, which was beautiful. And actually, that was instilled with me from early age, because I come from a mixed marriage, So for me, it's important to be a human being. That's the key. I never, see people with different beliefs, different colors, different orientation. Such a gorgeous face. So for me, that's the key, us being the citizens of the world. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was the path that I was following, to settle in a new country, looking at the beautiful things in this world, trying to put the challenges behind. Of course, those are obstacles that we have to tackle throughout our lives. For some people, it gets a little bit easier when you are in the environment where you are born, raised, you are familiar with everything. Some people have that natural. For me, I have to say I was lucky because I traveled prior to coming to Canada, with my
Hmm.
family a lot. So it's not only education that teaches you things,
Yeah.
life experiences are the ones that teach you, and give you so much. So
Mm.
I was blessed to have that opportunity.
I feel like listening to you talk, I have like a ton of questions I want to ask.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask two of them because I don't want to forget them because I think they're really important to me.
Yeah.
The first one is your parents were doctors before they moved here.
Yes.
Considering all that happens in Canada, did they ever get to practice again?
No, that's the sad part is not only that they didn't get to practice, they could have given so much to this community, to this country. Um, my dad was a gynecologist specialist in obstetrician and gynecology with over 30 years of experience. He worked in many projects, including the project with Columbia University in New York. On two or three occasions, he has lots of written work that they are published, um, and of course with the help of interpreters, translate, professionally
Yeah.
translated. Um, my mom was a dermatovenerologist, and she also traveled a lot, and uh, along with my dad, they were like dedicated to their profession but also dedicated to their family. Though they are the ones who instilled this love for academic knowledge, for respect towards every individual because of their profession, right? Being a
Hmm.
doctor means helping everybody regardless. So this is what I grew up like really focusing on. And they didn't get a chance to practice. Their English level was not sufficient, first of all. Second, they came at the age of 60 and 58. And in Canada, to overcome all these obstacles, it takes long time. So for them, it was not enough time, let's say, or maybe the motivation wasn't there enough because of everything that we have left behind. You leave so much. Living from the world, it's not easy. What you have seen and what you've heard as well, what happened to other people, the traumas are there. Of course, we heal ourselves,
Yeah.
luckily. I can say that we were lucky to come together as immediate family members, but let's not forget about others that we left behind. So there is pain in your heart. um, and also, one thing that I want to emphasize is not only that they didn't get the chance to practice, but in few occasions they were reminded, because when we came to ISS as government assisted refugees, and we're so grateful. That's my first home. I worked there since I came. I was a client, I was a volunteer, and I worked there, and it's my home. um, we got so much help, so much respect from the organization, from staff. Later on, when you move on, and access other services, in some of the services that we had accessed, they were reminded, when the question would come, um, what's your background, you know, to my dad, to my mom. And in one occasion, when my dad was asked, he was so excited to share about it. And the person said, oh, but in your country. And that was huge. That kind of shaped so many things for my parents, because it's a null, nothing. Everything that you have done, it's not recognized. You're starting from scratch. What are you going to do here? So
I hate that things happens.
yes,
Like
yes,
I don't like to use the word hate,
yes,
but that is one of the things I hate when it happens in our the way we settle people in. Like I absolutely hate that we have people who think that way. That the fact that you moved across countries means that every single thing you did doesn't exist, and you have to
exactly.
start afresh. Like there's a certain belittling arrogance, no, hubris, more like it, about the world and your place in the world that allows you to think that because someone came to this country, that
Yeah.
all the skills they have doesn't exist anymore. There's a
Yes.
certain annoying hubris and arrogance in it that I absolutely hate. Like I'm angry right now, and so forgive me, anyone who's watching this,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
hate it. Like I absolutely hate it, and I'm not ashamed to say it to anyone. It's
Yeah.
irritating every single time I hear people say that. Like, what do you mean by not in this country, back in your country? What does that even mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well, and I'm sorry, I had to mention that it does hurt. It does always come up. However, I don't let that be the focal point in our life, because there are so many amazing people who know to recognize that, to make you feel better, but there are people who are still learning in their jobs. So the person who actually said that, I'm sure they didn't know better than that. If later on, hopefully somebody taught them the lesson that that's not how you talk to clients, because this is actually why I am so connected with the social work that I am doing, even though it's a different kind of total change from my background. Like I said, I'm in engineering, but I've been doing something else here in Canada, working with newcomers, because I feel many things that they have felt and that they are feeling. I can't feel everything, but I feel many. So I want to make that path easier as much as possible. Other experiences that my parents had is when they were accessing medical services, some of the doctors were amazingly recognizing their background and the experience. And how did they do that? By asking questions. Tell me more. What did you do? And they were actually complimenting and thanking them. And that's huge. I was saying and thanking those professionals. You are healing them more by recognizing this, because you leave the office happy, you leave the office knowing that somebody respected your efforts. You're not giving me a job, you're not putting me in the position to work, but you give me that ear, you listen, and you uh, empathize, and you acknowledge. So that's a lot, I think.
It is just the frustrating. It is one of the frustrating parts of our immigration process. Is that sometimes I make a very simplistic argument, and I think someone has corrected me before about how I think immigrants should be one of the primary people who work in the immigration sector because they can understand. But I agree. I think it's simplistic because I also think that you also need people who understand how the country works because it's a two-way street,
Yes.
which is why I call it simplistic. Um, the other question I had was I want to ask it whether this I do. I'm tempted to ask what they ended up doing and how that affected who you are today. And I think you've kind of spoken to that a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious about, you mentioned going back to do your master's in engineering, even though you were still working in the settlement sector. Why did
Yes.
you do that? Like, what were you trying to find there, Eileen?
It's fulfilling me. It's science is something that I really enjoy. Today I have the opportunity to use lots of science with
Mm,
my daughter, because I do love to support her. I do love to tutor her. I want to make sure that she's interested in studies, because in today's world, with artificial intelligence, to be honest, I
yeah.
am very concerned. As much as it's making many people's lives easier, um, I am concerned, because I want her to use her own head. I want her to use her own creativity rather than relying on technology. Technology is something we need, definitely. And we want to be, keeping being able to kind of compete, being competitive. However, what if tomorrow there is something that you are not able to use? An instance, I a few months ago, I was needing um, to call somebody, and my phone was locked in the car. I locked my car with the keys in it, and I didn't have it at the moment to
Yeah.
access. And I needed to call my family members, my husband, my brothers, whoever. And somebody next to me said, "You know what? I will give you my phone, but I don't know if you will be able to call if you don't know the number." I said, "I know the number." You know how that made me feel? I actually know all cell phone numbers of my whole family and many of my friends. Why? Because I enjoy that. I love numbers, and I actually
Mm.
don't want to rely on things and be stuck. I taught my daughter my phone number when she was in grade one. She knew it by heart. We were singing it as a song so she could remember it. It's like, I don't know. So we learn how to swim in dangerous waters. Definitely. You find, your way,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
depending on what you believe. So for me, going back and getting my degree was important, because I was at the end. I was undergrad, and when I went for a visit after many years, when I went to visit my university professors, and I talked to some of them, and they said, "Why aren't you coming to complete? It's very little left. You can't leave this behind." I said, "I have a different life now. I'm working in different field. It doesn't matter. You deserve this." So I did, and actually I did at the time when I met my spouse. So he was there, and I went, and I, you know, was taking the exams that were left, studying. Um, I spent a couple of months there, and that was the time when I had my baby. I was on maternity leave, so I used all those opportunities to kind of,
Yeah.
I was sponsoring my husband, and I was, you know, using my maternity time with my baby there, and I felt really happy to be able to achieve that.
Yeah.
My parents were so happy. I did not, I was planning to pursue that here, but I didn't, because, settling in a new country takes a lot of your energy of planning, building your new family, sponsoring my husband. He needed to kind of settle here slowly
Yeah.
and get a job. So me focusing on my career, I wasn't too sure that I want to stress myself out. So yeah, I'm happy to kind of still keep up with many things I read. I love to be involved and informed, but the job that I'm doing right now, I manage settlement program in Vancouver location at ISSofBC. Starting as a client and volunteering and working in different roles, I honestly feel that I am at the right place because seeing our newcomers re- reaching their goals is really um, reminding me of where I started. I do love to mentor. Um, I was in a role of coordinating women's program, and with my experience, I have helped many of newcomer women actually, settle easier, find new friends, and learn about the community. So I could say that that's how I fulfill myself.
Mhm. I want to talk about the parts of your story and your journey so far that don't make it into most conversations.
Yeah.
Um, because I think the thing about being a refugee in some ways that there's usually the expectation that you have a story to tell,
Yes.
and there are stories that you don't tell because either people don't ask or
Yeah.
you don't want to talk about it. So maybe the first one for me is, what's the part of your story that you don't really talk about that much, but is there?
Um, well, I mean, I refuse to let the displacement or being a refugee define me for who I am. Instead, I use my lived experience, as a unique strength. I take pride in saying that, the things that have happened to me they did not break me. Instead, that they made me stronger. So I write my own book and I use the chapters that I choose to kind of talk about. But I can't say there is something really that I wouldn't want to share. I'm saying I'm using the chapters that I choose, but I would say I'm an open book. You know, there is lots of things to be grateful for. The fact that we were able to come as a whole family to Canada, that Canada welcomed us, is something that I am grateful. Many people would want to. If you ask me whether I would choose to come if the circumstances were not the way they were, I wouldn't. I would happily be, staying in my country and contribute and you know travel, learn about different parts of the world. But I am proud of my background. However, being in Canada, I also feel proud being here. I'm grateful to be here because I love so many things about Canadian culture. You know, I specifically love Vancouver and British Columbia for the climate that, because back home it's very similar. We have four beautiful seasons where I come from. Uh, we have 3 months of spring, 3 months of summer, 3 months of fall, and 3 months of winter, basically equally, shared. And it's not extremely cold. So I enjoy that. I enjoy nature. I enjoy sport. I love skiing here. And, those are some of the things that I try to focus on. Healthy lifestyle, let's say. It's been 26 years. You know what? I have to mention something. It took me 3 years to feel that I am staying here. First 3 years, I felt that I don't know where I am. I don't know, especially because I was young adult. I was thinking, well, my parents are at the age that it doesn't matter where they are. If we are close to them, they are happy. My brothers, they already have their family, they have kids, they will be focusing on providing better future for them, making sure they are educated. But me, what am I gonna do? I am a young adult that I left friends behind. I left my education unfinished. I don't have much work experience. What do I do? Um, but, you know, life shaped um, well for me, let's say, with the support of family and friends and the services that I was accessing. 3 years wasn't easy. Thinking, like, overnight, saying, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? Who do I call to go and have coffee with? Yes, you make new friends. Absolutely. I'm very friendly. I'm, outgoing, but the connection that you have built for years, it's not the same. Yes. So it it wasn't easy, but after 3 years, one day, I'm coming back from my volunteer work, part-time job as well, and I'm like thinking in my head, crossing the street, and I'm looking. It was, I think, um, late spring, beautiful day, and I said, you know what? I'm happy that I'm walking here right now. I love the scenery, looking at the sky, and it's so nice. I felt that that was the moment that clicked and said, okay, I'm here. I live here. And I said this to my parents. I said this to my family. And of course, they were happy. They were very supportive. And from that day on, I was focusing on what I want to do here, because until that time my mind was set. You know what? I worked with United Nations. Once I become citizen, I want to do missions in different countries. I want to go and travel and live in different countries for 2 3 years. But no, I couldn't go away from my family. I wanted to stay close. So, no, not for me. To be honest, not for me. I love to travel back home. I miss the food. I miss the culture. I miss people. And I do it whenever I can. But after the period that I choose to stay, I'm happy to come back here. That's how I feel right now. I can't say that's the same for my whole family. Um, there are people are thinking differently, um, but that's how I feel. My daughter was born here. She's going to school. I'm trying to kind of support her education. I'm worried. I can't say that I'm not worried, because one thing, really one thing that I dislike in Canada is the education system, that it's really like the cost is extremely high. I am not talking about all the grants and the loans, student loans and stuff. I know people find their ways, but what I loved back then, where I was studying, things are changing everywhere, of course. Education was free. If you have the skills, you have a will to study, the door is open for you. Of course, you have to go through testings. Of course, you have to compete with others, but you have the opportunity to study. I think that is the basic thing that people need, because without education, it's really hard to compete. Today, especially in today's world, it's hard. Maybe back in the day, it was different with your skills, but I don't think that's the case now.
You talked about engineering, and there's this. How do you balance between home
Hmm.
and being so satisfied here, and not getting back to that feeling of that young lady who was like, I'm still finding myself?
Well, I don't look back in a way with regrets, right? You have to always look forward. So this is what I'm saying. What next? What do I do next to keep myself happy and healthy and successful? I'm always interested in new challenges. I like stability, definitely, but I do like to see what life brings to us. And again, like I said, now I have a focus. My daughter, she is young, and I want to make sure she was born here. When I ask her, what do you feel? she thinks before she answers, because she speaks several languages that we speak at home. And so she says, I feel like I am what you are. I said, of course, definitely relates to the background, but I am Canadian too. So I I try to support her, and this is my goal is to make sure that I see that she's happy and successful. For us as a family, you know, having the opportunity to travel and learn about different things, and also to enjoy the beauties that this country has, if we can afford. Absolutely, this is a huge barrier for everybody.
Mhm.
The cost of living here is really high. I don't really know if I should go there, touch that topic, but we learn how to, you know, tackle
Yeah.
all those challenges. So, what I want her to see the world and the people through my eyes somehow, not fully, because I want her to be her own self, but I am trying to kind of share the beauty of diversity, the country we live in, how the diverse population and the cultures, and how we are worth more by being together. We learn from each other.
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't think this is the for if we were in our country, or anybody who lives in their own country, let's say, they if they don't travel much, I don't think they have this opportunity to experience the world the way we do here in Canada, because of everybody being here, from
Mhm.
somewhere, let's say. So I think that's huge for me.
Yeah. Staying on that a bit, you landed straight in BC, right?
Yes, in
At
Vancouver.
some point, did you go to Ontario?
I traveled. Yes, I
Yeah.
traveled to visit.
Or you'd never leave or work there?
No, I never
Oh,
lived there. You know what? When we were being interviewed to come to Canada, I was telling my family I would love to go to Montreal. I would love us to live in Montreal. The reason was most of us already spoke English, like my brothers and I. My parents, not so much, but and my family, like the kids were young, of course, but they were starting to learn. My sister in laws as well had the basic knowledge as well. I said this would give us an opportunity to learn French,
hmm.
because we love languages, and and especially because Montreal is like closer to Europe. So when you're moving somewhere, you're always thinking about your home country.
Yeah.
This I would be closer to my home country.
Yeah.
And then my brother said, "No, no, I think we should go to Vancouver because somebody had recommended the climate is beautiful. It's like the nature, like it's very similar to where you are from, and you would love it because the winters in Ontario and in Quebec are really cold, and it's long. And even though we love skiing, I love winter sports, but um, he said, I think we should go there. I said, okay, you know, and I don't regret. I love Vancouver, but I just thought if we were there, it would have been, we would have the opportunity to learn French. Not that we don't have it here, but here you can go and register and learn. But do you get enough opportunity to practice? No.
No, yeah. If you're not speaking it, I don't. I feel like if you're not speaking it, it's
Yeah,
learning is a waste of time.
exactly. I mean, I do like to learn things, but I mean, use it or lose it. It's not said in vain. So
Yeah. Um, for someone who's worked that long in the settlement sector, when you help a woman find her footing here, I'm curious. Like, are you giving her something you have, or something that you didn't get during your time?
well, I use the my lived experience to build the bridges. I use it to mentor. If that, what worked for me might not work for you, but
Yeah.
I choose to share it. And you pick from that whatever works for you, whatever you think
Yeah.
you will
Yeah.
benefit from. And I have heard from many, really, that was very helpful, that was very encouraging. So, I mean, I have moved out from the frontline work. It's been 8 years, I think. Yeah, 8 years. So my role is different, but I do support my team members who I love to talk to, and we have a great relationship in the organization, with colleagues and stuff. And uh, why I like ISSofBC is because of the multicultural setting. So we share our stories on different occasions, whether that's, let's say, all staff celebration when we get together. We have talent shows, we have, stories we share, depending on what people feel comfortable. We we are invited to wear our traditional clothing if we wish to. I mean, share the food. Eh, That's the beauty of it, because if you think about it, you spend most of your time at work.
Yeah.
I know COVID changed many things. Now there is a beauty of being able to work from home as well. Working,
Mm.
hybrid is really great because it saves us time, saves us money on commuting and stuff. But we spend so much time with our colleagues that it's great to be able to go somewhere that you enjoy. That's, not everybody has that opportunity, because we know that in order to survive we need to provide for the family, and we can't always choose, whether I like it or not. I can't leave the job because I need
Yeah.
the financial support. So, but ISS is, like I said, home to me, because of all the diversity that we have, and the mission. It's very much aligned with how I feel.
Do you think that if you had another role, or if you had gotten another industry,
Hmm.
you would have felt this settled the way you feel right now? Because I do wonder if Eileen of today is an Eileen who, I mean, it is what it is. An Eileen who's a mix of a young lady who moved to Canada, was looking for herself and was lost, and then walked into a sector
Hmm.
which was helping others find themselves, and in that way, she found herself. And I'm wondering if that didn't happen,
Hmm.
if we would be having this conversation today,
Hmm.
based on the things you talked about earlier on.
I can't really say that, answer the question with all the certainty, but I would say that I would definitely, if I was in the position that I could pursue my career, then I would definitely love to go that way. But I don't think that would change me as a person, because the person who that I am, the character that I have, it's actually instilled in me since young age, because I am people's person. I come from multicultural setting. I come from mixed marriage. So I enjoy this. I enjoy, and like I said, my parents were um, working with people, helping them. This is something that really influenced me a lot. You know, my mom was very gentle, so unfortunately, she's no longer with us. Thank you. But she has instilled so much love, towards people, and care, and the patience, that sometimes when I am impatient, I think, breathe, calm down. Remember your mom? She was doing so many things, and then, because I wear different hats, at home as well. I have a senior dad now. I do have brothers, of course. They are there, they're helping. But as a daughter, I feel um, I feel that I am responsible to make sure that, everything is smooth, and I'm grateful for everything that our parents have provided for us. So I want to be a good daughter as well, and make sure that I give back, to the family, to my dad, to my brothers, my sister-in-laws, my nieces, nephews, my spouse, my daughter, and also the you know the great friends that I have made in Canada that are like my family. So also at work, colleagues, and the community. So I think that it's thanks to my mom first, let's say, my parents and everybody. Yeah,
I'm really sorry about your mom. I'm really sorry.
thank you.
My mom passed away 2 years before I left for Canada.
Hmm.
You know,
So
so
heartbreaking.
yeah, it
I'm
is
very
the
sorry to hear that.
it is the most. I tell people that I don't think I've fully recovered. Like
Yes.
it is the most heartbreak. It was the most devastating thing that has happened to me. You know, like in a selfish way, because I had dealt with her loss. It was much. It felt like it was much easier to deal with. My dad passed while I was here too.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm sorry.
but yeah, but my mom, losing my mom broke me in way. It broke me, and I don't think I've ever been the same again.
I hear you. I hear you. You're never the same when you lose a
Yeah,
parent. And mama is something that's
yeah, it's
irreplaceable.
it is,
Definitely.
it is.
It's a safe harbor.
Ah,
It's your rock.
yeah,
We could talk about it forever. There's but
yeah,
that's why this is the opportunity to thank them again, for everything
exactly.
they have
Right?
provided. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Whew. I miss you, mom. I
yeah.
miss her a lot. Um, you've been here for a bit. Like, I've been in Canada for like 5+ years now. And it still feels like I'm still starting. You've been here for 20 something years.
I know. I've been in Canada more than I have lived in my country. It's like this is,
Exactly. Like
if
that's
somebody
wild.
likes math, they'll start calculating, but I'm okay with that. Nothing to hide.
Yeah. Like, who are you right now, honestly?
Hmm. Well, I am Eileen. I'm Eileen, who is a citizen of this world, um, loves people, and I love to see peace in the world. To be honest, it's heartbreaking to see everything that's happening, and
Yeah.
if I can't do much, I exclude myself from listening to things that are said, because
Yeah.
it does affect me. So I know when I know I have those boundaries for myself, how far I can go. If I don't underestimate that every person can make a change in this world. I don't
Yeah.
underestimate the power of that. However, sometimes what you have in your plate is too much. And if you can't handle that, I don't like to put myself in more trouble, because
Mm.
it's heartbreaking. You see, and you can't do much at the moment because you want immediate
Yeah.
result. It's
Yeah.
impossible, right?
Yeah.
So, who I am? Well, like I said, I feel comfortable being here. I'm happy when I come back. I feel like Vancouver is my home, but definitely I also feel my country is something that has shaped me, mostly has given me the intellect, given me the courage, the strength. I think that was built there before I came. I came proud. I still take pride in that, where I come from, um, but I am happily sharing where I live, and that I love coming back here every time I travel. Yeah.
I should add to that thing you said about changing the world. I think what I say right now is that everyone can change the world. What we just need to learn to accept that one way to change the world is kind of agree that some of the what you want to see
Hmm.
would happen in your lifetime. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do the work
Yes.
to leave your part in the world, because if you do the work,
Yes.
then you kickstart the butterfly effect that leads towards that change you want. And so, like, for example, I'm at peace with the fact I'm at peace that hopefully I live long enough and I live to my 80s or 90s or whatever time God decides I am going to go. But I'm happy if everything I want to see doesn't happen in my lifetime, as long as the point is that the work I've done
Yes.
has led to
Success and
success and
betterment.
betterment, and I started that work. I'm happy. If I don't see
Yes.
the change, that's okay. But as
Yes.
long as what I'm doing is starting the process, I think I've won. That's how
I,
I say it.
I agree. I really agree with you on that. That's how I feel. Um, Small steps can make a change, but it's not just to say I want to make the change, because what I feel that it's good might not be good for what other people feel. So it's not just, oh, I want to make change. It's the same thing how I see everything in this world, like even in everyday, in day-to-day operation, even when we want to make changes in our life, at home, at work. I want to understand, why are we making this change? Is that going to contribute to something better, or because we decided we want to make the change. um, so I do like to contribute, but with a sense of, how can I say, I have that hesitation, where will this lead? And when it comes to making the change for newcomers, of course, the work that I do has shaped me so much because of my own experience, because I have been in that shoe. Um, and I would want to make, make it easier for others that are coming to this country. So, Woo! it's, it's very, it's, I don't know what to say, because I don't know what next moment is there for me. But next 26 year, like I said, if you want me to talk about personal life, then it's, family, my daughter, the success, the role that she will have in this world, her contribution. If we're talking about, you know, Vancouver, Canada, I would want to see much more opportunities for newcomers, because people come to go to new country for different reasons. And um, definitely, I would say one of the reasons I would say for everybody is for a better future. I can't say that somebody would pick to go somewhere, to have a miserable life. They see something, they see the light at the end of the tunnel. So, for better future, I would say, starting with, having more affordable housing. This is what I would want to work on, to make sure, and not necessarily directly work on that, but my goal is to speak about it, that's what we need, because if we want to live more comfortable, we need to make sure that the income that we are generating is sufficient to cover the costs of living, basic living, you know. And I don't think many people are feeling comfortable at this time. it's really sad to see what people are going through. So that's making me sad, um, what I'm like, if I think back home, we had our own properties. For example, when we lived, I grew up in that mindset that we have our house or our apartment or whatever you have, and if you work, you will have income, depending on what you do, definitely how many family members work and stuff, and you actually shape your life the way you want. Here, you need to have roof above your head, but that doesn't mean that it has to be your own property. Yeah, it's rental. People, can't afford to kind of purchase their own, and even if they do, there are so many costs associated with, with lifetime loans, and I don't think everybody is comfortable with that. Many people are not even used to living like that. So it is scary, trying what everybody else does. I know many people, when we talk, they don't want to do that, because we would say stretch your feet, based on the length of your cover. I don't know if it makes sense. It's like you, it's it's a saying. I don't know if it's smart to translate that, but I think it is something that if you cannot afford, don't go for it. But how else do you have some security in the future, for newcomers that are coming with nothing? It's really tough, because we can say they're newcomers, but they are not only displaced people or just newcomers. They are managers, they are parents, they are leaders, they are scholars, academics, you name it. And then you all start from zero. So
Yeah. I mean, it's wild how it feels like a lot of the problems we're looking to solve as a country, yeah, some of the solutions already exist here, considering the amount of talent that we bring to the country
yeah,
every single day via our different immigration pathways. But just because of how our system is structured, some of those solutions will never come to light.
yeah,
The
yeah,
harsh truth about Canada.
yeah, yeah. I know that many people are working hard to make many changes, and I have to praise many of them that are contributing to betterment, to recognizing people's accreditations, people's skills. So that's great. That's a good step, for future. I think using the talents that people bring is so important. And I don't think that people would come if it wasn't like, this is a promising country. So
Oh, it is. Oh,
it's
it
it's
is.
it's it's really,
Oh, it is.
important to not forget that or to minimize it. So we just have to work together to make sure that we contribute, you know, for our future generations, give opportunities to our youth as well, because they are the future of this country, and live in harmony with each other.
Yeah. Cool. It's time for the book of questions.
Woo, okay, I'm
So, like I
excited.
said,
Hot seat.
hot sit. Yeah, it's
Okay, let's
1 to 291 questions,
okay.
and so pick one number.
24. Don't ask me
Okay.
why.
Okay, I would. I suspect I know why, but I'll okay. I'll just. Would you completely rewrite your child's college application essays if it would help them get into a better school?
Rewrite myself?
Yes.
No. I would want her to kind of write it. I don't think it's fair to kind of take that away from her, you know, because oftentimes I try to teach her things, and when I say, she's like, even if she like an example, she comes and she shows me PowerPoint presentation, and immediately I go in that mode. You know this? She's like, Mom, I feel I don't want to share it with you. And I'm like, okay, calm down. I'm telling myself, you know,
Oh gosh, like that's
wait,
good feedback for me too, to be
it is.
honest.
Yes, I'm learning. Trust me, I'm learning, because I am always ready to tell her, wait, because you want them to be the best. And
Yeah.
absolutely, I would want her to be in a better, but I want her to learn that, because unless you learn that on your own skin, like, or is that
Mm-hmm.
correct to
Mm-hmm.
say?
Mm.
Having everything served to you, it's not always the best thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have to let people experience it and learn that from their own mistakes. And you know, I'm there to support. Absolutely, I wouldn't let her fail, but I want her to do it on her own with all my support.
Cool. Thank you so much, Eileen.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you thank you for giving back, honestly, because it feels like you moved here and instantly from day one started kind of helping the country find its help settle people who are moving here. So thank you. And to
Pleasure.
ISSofBC, who's literally the ones behind this series, thank you for reaching out to Newcomers to support you in telling these stories. This has been an amazing experience for me so far. Just interviewing folks like you and just listening to your stories, like it's been amazing and humbling for me. So thank you to everyone. And to our listeners, hope this was fun. And I'll have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Dozy. I also want to thank you for being there for us and getting so important and powerful message to share out there. And I really enjoyed this interview because I felt at ease. I felt comfortable, as if I'm talking with somebody that I know for a long time. So kudos to you. You're doing a great job. Keep
Thank
it
you.
up. I'm
Thank you
excited
so
to
much.
see more podcasts and
Thank you
more
so much.
interviews that are coming. So
Thank you so much.
all the best.